Welcome back. All right, so trying to fit these in. There's 3 games currently going on at Sunday afternoon. The Montreal-Anaheim game's done. The Islanders, Florida, Vegas Rangers, Columbus, Dallas, all after the first period. And so let us go ahead and discuss Colorado Avalanche while I have some time. It is February 2nd as I'm recording this, and the Avs look pretty good. They've looked pretty good throughout the season. I know they've had a tough stretch recently, but I still think they look fine. When I do the power rankings, that's something I take into account is how the team's playing. And Colorado, when you look at the overall numbers, the power rankings, consistency, 5th both in the regular season and in the playoffs. So not too shabby. In fact, I'm going to stop being ridiculous about this. They have 2 Stanley Cup wins over the quarter of a century we're going to look at. And so I'll give them an A. Sure. 2001 Stanley Cup. Yep. 2022 Stanley Cup. Yep. Not on the board, of course, is the 96 Stanley Cup because that would be before the turn of the century, but 3 Stanley Cups for the Colorado Avalanche in their history, not too bad. Their last Stanley Cup win, of course, being 2022. Now, they've had some bad seasons in that period in time, but they've done a pretty good job of building their way out, and that's how you end up with Stanley Cup champions like in 2022, is finding a way how to build. So I'm wearing the Joe Sakic because Sakic went from being a GM that I thought was awful at his job to being a GM that I was like, you know what? He's one of the best GMs in the league. I was wrong. So looking at the Avalanche and their leading scorers from 2000-2001, again, till 2023-2024. McKinnon, the leader, no surprise, right? 791 games, 335 goals, 564 assists, 899 points coming into this season in his career. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Hayduke, one of my favorite names in NHL history. Just because I thought it sounds like, you're calling somebody, hey, Duke. Hey, Duke. All right. It's just, I know, puerile and juvenile and all that. 856 games played by Hayduke in his career. From 2000-2001 through 2023-2024, he played 856 games with the Avs. 325 goals, 360 assists, 685 points. What I remember with him, too, was seeing him in international play before he came over to play in the NHL and thinking, this guy's pretty good. Why isn't he over here? And then he was. Rantanen, 570 games played, 262 goals, 355 assists, 617 points. He, of course, recently being traded to Carolina. Joe Sakic is 4th on the list, 526 games, 229 goals, 359 assists, 581 points. Sakic could have played forever. I'm convinced of that. He's one of those players that just could have kept playing. Gabe Landeskog's on the list, 738 games, 248 goals, 323 assists, 571 points. The great question with him is when/if he will play again, right, with Landeskog. Paul Stastny's on the list, 538 games, 160 goals, 298 assists, 458 points. Alex Tanguay, 522 games, 150 goals, 287 assists for 437 points. Matt Duchene, 586 games, 178 goals, 250 assists for 428 points. Cale Makar, you knew he was going to be on the list, didn't you? 315 games, 86 goals, 250 assists for 336 points. And Makar, can we agree he's the best offensive? No, we can't because people are going to say Quinn Hughes. We're not going to agree on anything. Why am I even trying? Tyson Barrie, 484 games, 75 goals, 232 assists for 307 points. You'll also notice I'm wearing the red t-shirt that I was wearing in the Angry video. We're talking about angry fans. So that's the date. There you go. So those are your top 10 scorers, your top 4 goaltenders. Varlamov leads the way from 2000-2001 through 2023-2024. A record of 183, 156, and 38, 915 save percentage. Patrick Waugh, 2nd place. Record of 107, 51, and 28, 920 save percentage. Patrick Waugh got better as he got older. So I will still, and this is my opinion, say Patrick Waugh, best goaltender I ever saw. In playoffs especially, he was ridiculous. Budai, he was one of the goaltenders who came in after Patrick Waugh, and just imagine trying to follow him up. 101, 91, 27 record for Budai, 901 save percentage, and Abbotsford on the list, a record of 89, 58, and 14 for a 915 save percentage. So it really is the Patrick Waugh show in the net, and Varlamov was very good for them. Blackwood's going to end up on this list eventually, maybe if I do this 5-10 years from now, that kind of thing. Coaches, this is where things are interesting too, because Bob Hartley was the coach for this team, 2001, 2002. Tony Granato was then coach. Joel Quenneville was a coach here, and Joel Quenneville kind of bounced around as a head coach. Joe Sacco was head coach. He, of course, is currently, as I'm recording this, the coach of the Boston Bruins. You never know. Boston might fire the coach again because, sure, they do seem to enjoy firing the coaches. I don't know if they enjoy it or not, just saying seem to. And then there was Patrick Roy, who I thought was a very good coach for Colorado. Trying to climb over the glass to have a little chat with the other team's coach. That's perfectly reasonable. I would like to have a chat with you. Mind if I climb the glass? Jared Bednar, who of course is still the coach, and I think I'm supposed to say Coach Bednar, but and then you go to the general managers. Pierre Lacroix, who of course they inherited from the Quebec Nordiques, who's a pretty good general manager. Francois Giguère replaced him. Greg Sherman, and then Joe Sakic. Sakic, a nice long period of time as the general manager. When he retired, we knew he was going to do something to do with the Colorado Avalanche, but as general manager, quite the track record. He waited forever on that Matt Duchene trade, which was why I started criticizing him. Turned out he was right. That Matt Duchene trade, they're still reaping the benefits of that Matt Duchene deal. And yeah, that was quite the trade for the Colorado Avalanche. And the current general manager, Chris MacFarland, as Joe Sakic was promoted to team president, and MacFarland now is the general manager. Although I would think that it's a relationship where he talks to Sakic when he makes moves and probably work together as a team on all that kind of thing. Not saying he's not like fully the general manager, but probably consults with Sakic on certain moves. I would think. I would. And then you get into team captains, and there's Joe Sakic. Joe Sakic's name all over the Colorado Avalanche. And it's one of those things that for people who might want to think about what if you don't lose the Nordiques. Joe Sakic would have been beloved. There'd be statues in the province of Quebec for Sakic. Adam Foote, he was captain for a while. Milan Hajduk did become captain of this team as well. And then Gabriel Landeskog, who has not played hockey for years. And the question of when he's going to come back is one that's out there. He's skating. The one thing for me with Landeskog at this point is, well, there's 2 points I want to make. One, I think he'll come back. I don't think he'll be the same forward he was before the injury. I think he'll come back. I think he'll play limited minutes in all likelihood. I'm hoping I'm wrong on that. The other thing that I find interesting, and I know Avs fans tell me no, is that they've never named someone else as the captain, even if it's just during the interim, right? Name someone as the captain until he comes back, and whether that's McKinnon, whether it's whoever, right? It'd be McKinnon, right? I'm kind of surprised that they don't have like a captain until Landeskog comes back. Maybe it's a situation where Landy's so beloved in that locker room that nobody would take the seat. That is quite possible too, but it's one of those things that, and it is a topic of conversation in terms of how important is a team captain to a team. The first year that Vegas was in the NHL and they went all the way to the Stanley Cup final, no captain. So do we overrate what a captain does or doesn't do? I do know that NHL fans generally overestimate the importance of one player to a team, both in the positive and the negative. It does depend on the player. There are certain ones that you can say, well, clearly there's a huge difference when they're on the ice or not. But in general, it is a team sport. So Colorado, a team that could very well win another Stanley Cup. There was 5 years between the 2 Stanley Cups they got when they got to Denver, which would mean they're doing 2027. So maybe that's what we see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I am enjoying doing this series. Like I've said, I really hope people enjoy watching this series. With that said, I will talk to you again soon.